Good afternoon, Father Privett, members of the Board of Trustees, executive officers, faculty of the college, distinguished alumni, and the family and loved ones. Please join me in congratulating the graduate students in the colleges of Arts and Sciences and the Massillon Graduate School of Management, and let us please yet again put our hands together in celebration of the University of San Francisco class of 2009. So believe me, I know what a graduation ceremony means to a family, and especially to the parents out there. And I want to thank each and every one of you for the honor of allowing me to share in this very important day. The University of San Francisco has always held a very special place in my heart. The air, of course, is so fresh up here on the hilltop, and I can tell you that many a day I found sanctuary on this campus. Because you see, I was just out of law school, and it was here at USF that I studied for the bar exam. And unfortunately, I remember those days like they were yesterday. My friends would come up here with me to Lone Mountain and basically speak Cloister, and sitting day after day at those long wooden tables on those hard-backed chairs in that dimly lit library, it felt like we were doing penance for some serious sin. And you can believe me, there was a whole lot of praying going on, and thankfully our prayers were answered. And so graduates, in this moment of pomp and circumstance, allow me to address the circumstances of this afternoon. I know the job market is on the minds of families everywhere. It is true whether you received your MBA or your MFA, whether you are in the field of risk management or sports management. The world today is a very different place than the day you applied to graduate school. Just think of the transformations we've witnessed in the last year alone. The global crisis has accelerated the pace of historic changes in our economy. Entire markets have been fundamentally reorganized, and many will never be the same. I know some parents out there are probably losing some sleep these days. Of course, that's only natural. After all, worrying is what parents do. But graduates, let me tell you why my money is on you, the class of 2009. First and foremost, you are part of the generation that has already changed the history of our country and the history of the world by making Barack Obama President of the United States. No other graduating class in modern times has entered an environment as challenging as the one we currently find ourselves in. And it is also true, no other generation has ever been more uniquely prepared to meet the challenge. In fact, to quote President Obama, it's a privilege and a responsibility afforded to few generations, and a task that you graduates are now called to fulfill. And so graduates, I'm here to say, I believe in you. We believe in you. In fact, we're going to be spending a lot of time trying to catch up with you. While some of us are still trying to figure out how to program that remote, and parents, you know what I'm talking about, these graduates, they can Twitter blindfolded with one thumb behind their backs. And graduates, you are a generation in constant communication. And believe me, as we watch you, we can see the method to your madness. It has something, I think, to do with an essential principle of management. You understand that organization is power. you understand something else too. You know that the old economic rules are over. Whereas the generations before you, new graduates, went out into the workforce to compete with the more senior guys, you know it's no longer a matter of measuring yourselves against more experienced workers in established industries and trades. For you, graduates, in your professional lifetime, success will be a question of defining what is new. Graduates, you can see the generational shift that is transforming our economy. In terms of your skill set and your knowledge base, in terms of mastering the best practices in the emerging subject matter, it is you who are entering the marketplace ready to lead the way. And graduates, I believe you possess a profound advantage. In you, I see a generation that has rekindled the passion and the energy of the civil rights era. You see, I grew up steeped in that passion. My parents met as graduate students, marching for civil rights in Berkeley. And growing up, my heroes were the great civil rights lawyers, Charles Hamilton Houston, Constance Baker Motley, Thurgood Marshall. But by the time I graduated from law school, the pendulum had swung back. It was the beginning of the reign of Wall Street, a time when many of our most talented young people were swept up in the pursuit of profit in an era of laissez-faire individualism. But graduates, you understand the lessons we only learned the hard way. You've seen how things can crash when we abandon our moral compass. You've seen how fiscal policies based on unrestrained greed are neither economically sustainable nor morally acceptable. You've seen the impact of these policies cascading across billions of human lives around the globe. And you know that a nation's economic success cannot simply be measured by what happens on Wall Street alone. In fact, it's got to be built on Main Street, brick by brick and business by business. Ladies and gentlemen, when I look out at these graduates, I see a group of practical idealists. I see the same generation that came of age as the towers fell on 9/11. I see the same generation that grew up understanding the tragic cost of our hubris in Iraq. I see the same generation that understands the immediacy of our connection to a wider world, a generation that can see the rising tide of climate destruction spilling into their own lives and the lives of our children. I see a generation that won't stand for predatory lending and white-collar crime, not when the American dream is at stake. I see a generation willing to take on the tough fight and the sacred cows. Once and for all, banning military-style assault weapons and reforming our prison system and putting politics aside and fixing our broken budget process. And I know all the world will come to see a generation of believers, young men and women whose beliefs have been fully formed in that forge of a lived experience. And as products of the University of San Francisco, as masters trained in a timeless and the timeless values of the Jesuit tradition, in you we see the past meeting the future. We see men and women carrying forward the fundamental idea of this great university, the life of the mind and the encounter with the world. It's simply a belief in public service as a duty, a basic obligation flowing from our very humanity, an obligation applying equally to everyone at all times, when you're up and when you're down, when it costs you nothing and when it costs a lot, whether you're the DA or an MBA. Graduates, you know it is that service that is a duty. So this is your time. And remember that times of crisis are also times of great opportunity. Remember the perspective afforded by USF's magnificent view and the spirit of St. Ignatius, the life of the mind and the duty to serve. So chart your course with these lessons in mind and get out there, get your hands dirty, get it done, because your country needs you and we know you can do it. Thank you very much and congratulations.